Morning. Thank you guys for being here. First off, congratulations to our women's soccer team on clinching the third straight year, the regular season conference championship. They do a fantastic job. Obviously, after reviewing the film from this past Saturday, some major takeaways learned from that were, offensively, too many critical errors, and overall didn't make plays. Defensively, really a lack of execution and a lot of missed tackles. Special teams had a solid outing, but we put that game in the past. We learn from it, we grow from it, and our entire focus as a program is being all in on the University of South Florida. We know the tremendous challenge we have this Saturday. We're excited about it, an explosive team coming to town. Glad to be back home, but our focus is 100% on South Florida and excited to have a great week of preparation.
Were you able to evaluate Brennan at all to see how he was doing?
Well, it's going to be day to day. We'll continue to learn as we go along, like a lot of our guys.
And then looking at, the half that AJ had, if you have to go with him or Harrington, just what was some of the takeaways that you broke down with him?
Yeah, first, AJ is, I think he just turned 18 years old, right? He's still a true freshman. And the biggest thing I appreciate about him was his calm demeanor, his confidence, his understanding. Like I've said all along, him and Arrington, they've done a great job preparing for whoever, if their number happened to be called. And at that point, we figured to go with AJ. And his calm, cool demeanor was great. It's exactly what you want. It kind of reminded me of Seth. Okay, hey, you're getting thrown right into the fire. Here you go. And so I was proud of that. He'd be the first to tell you he missed some reads, didn't get through his progressions on a lot of things. At the end of it, ultimately some of the things that could have been probably fixed towards the end of the game in order to operate at a smoother level. He would probably like to have back, and he'll learn from those. But he's going to continue to grow, and we have high expectations for him.
What do you feel like this program needs to do to help restore what was lost?
Yeah, look, one game will not define our season. We're 6-1, and I appreciate that we're not happy at all about that. But just like I've said in the past, right, whether it's big wins, that one big win can't define our season, and that one loss certainly can't define our season. All of our hopes, goals, and dreams are still in front of us, right? When we started this season, the goal wasn't to be 7-0. The goal wasn't to be 6-1. It was to win the conference championship. So that's still out there in front of us. We just got to continue to stay focused, dialed in, find ways to execute at a higher level. The great news about this is everybody in this program is truly all in. They understand what it's going to take and the necessary things to go out there and execute at a higher level each and every time we're asked to play an opponent. And I've got great confidence that the guys will have a great week of prep in order to give us a chance on Saturday to have success.
Is there like a different evaluation with AJ and Arrington kind of just every week in terms of where they are, who you feel more comfortable with in whatever situation of going into the game?
A lot of it is, we kind of told them, we'll see who has the best week of practice. Each week obviously has different challenges based off the opponent, based off of our game plan, and kind of getting a feel for what that week looks like. And I think that's fair because they both are capable of going in and giving us the opportunity to win football games. And so as we evaluate even this week moving forward, if that's where we end up with, whichever one of those has maybe a better week of preparation and practice and gives us the best chance to win, we can do that. There's also scenarios we go in with playing 2 quarterbacks, maybe playing 3, depending on what we're doing. So we got to look at and evaluate those things as the week goes on. That's part of the game planning as we're watching film right now and kind of seeing. But with those young quarterbacks, that's part of the equation.
You played 3 quarterbacks in a game?
It's been a long time since I've done it, but it gives you something to write about, Jonah, so I might as well.
In the past couple of years when adversity would happen, we would kind of know the guys in the locker room, Zach Chandler, Greg Rubin, those guys who you kind of lean on. How does that change this year with so many new players, and also who are some of the guys that you've seen kind of step up into those roles?
Yeah, as a reminder, 78 new players. You learn more about each guy every single day, right? I wasn't sure how the locker room would be post-game, how the bus ride home would be. It was somber how you wanted it, but then the guy's mindset yesterday, right? The ability to come, okay, man, that sucks. We're going to bounce back and have the right approach. I mean, yesterday's practice was probably one of the best Sunday practices we've had in a long time, even though it was modified. So their attitude and approach to this thing is great. But I told them, we'll know a lot about the type of young men in our program by the way we respond this week. And I've been pleased with that and continue to learn, like which guys were leaders, which guys are stepping up. There's no woe is me attitude. There's no hang our hats. Look, I'm as pissed off as anybody by what occurred this past Saturday. And ultimately, what I told our staff this morning is every single person, starting with me, we all have to find ways to improve. 200 people in this organization, we all have to be better and find ways to improve so we can go out there and have success the next time we line up. And that'll be this Saturday morning, another opportunity. So getting to see a lot about these guys, but I've been pleased with the resiliency of this. And if I know anything about them, they'll bounce back the right way.
When you have the false start penalties at the end of the game, that can be tough on the individual. Do you check in to make sure that they aren't overly down and blaming themselves or anything like that?
Take a deep breath before I answer that one. I think some of those false starts penalties can be lack of concentration. We've had some individuals that have not done what they needed to in order to sustain whatever they may do prior to the ball being snapped, and that's unacceptable. But it's also our job as coaches to figure out different ways to make noises, to move, to shift, to make them sit in their stances during practice. So when it does show up with the ball in the 6-inch line, we're not making those critical errors. But yes, ultimately it's our job also to build their confidence back up so the next time they do take the field in a game-like situation, they're prepared. And clearly we need to do a better job of preparing some of our guys. We've had some individuals that are having more false starts than anything we've seen in this program, and ultimately it's my job to make sure we get that fixed.
So where do you start with that, in terms of getting that out of there?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's an age-old question. We're over the history since I've been the head coach, we've been one of the fewer penalized teams in college football, right? Usually towards the bottom, 15% in penalties, and even the opponent we played this past Saturday was in the higher end of penalties, and we had played a relatively clean game, but that like I talked about, the last minute and a half was a lot of critical errors. Obviously, an important part of the game. They're all important. But those false starts, you practice them. You yell and you're shifting, you're doing different things. I got to do a better job. I know you asked post game, right? Was it with the quarterback change? Was that some of the maybe the cadence and the different things that may have occurred during that time? All those things, we've got to make sure we're doing the right things this week and weeks leading up to every game to prepare for whatever may be, so we're not having those critical errors.
As you prepare for South Florida, what stands out to you about this top 25 program?
Yeah, first off, they're a top 20 team in the country. They're very explosive. I think over the last 4 games, they average 57 points a game. Their quarterback, it starts and ends with him. He carries their team, certainly from an offensive standpoint. I mean, he can throw it as well as any quarterback in the country. He can run it as well as any quarterback in the country. He's their leading rusher. Obviously, they have a tremendous tempo with what they do. And then defensively, I mean, they're playing very, very stout. We get to see them play some of these other opponents. We get to see what they've done versus an SEC opponent versus, Boise State. And they're a very, very tough team, and they're going to give us everything they have. But we're excited about the opportunity. It's a conference game. It's a home game. It's our next one. And our guys will be in the right mindset and out there to go out there and compete at the highest level.
Obviously, it's the first time this team's taken a loss, so having not been through that yet this season, what exactly gives you the confidence about them that they can bounce back for a game like South Florida this quick?
Well, first off, you want to see how they were immediately after the game. And there was no laughing, there was no smiles. All 74 people that traveled with us to Birmingham, the players were extremely, extremely disappointed and hurt and heartbroken, and rightfully so. And there wasn't a peep on the buses. Like I said before, a lot of that you can just tell how important is it to them, and it means everything. And then, sure, some of the guys had their heads held down walking to the building yesterday morning. But as soon as we talked about, okay, we're going to learn from this film. All right, now you got to hold your head up high and be bright-eyed and ready to learn and grow from this. Okay, and then approach when we take this practice field today. All right, it's all about focusing on the next task at hand. And the guys have already shown that. Right? We got guys up in our building taking care of their bodies, watching the film with the right mindset and approach to what they need to do to move forward. And that's our job as coaches and everybody in this building to sit there, okay, let's rebound, let's find ways to improve and go out there and attack the day and be our best version of ourselves every single day.
Then you guys played Byron Brown at South Florida in 2023. He had a great game that day. So just what do you remember from that game, and then where has he improved since then as well?
He, obviously, he was hurt last year, but yeah, you're exactly right. In 2023, he showed excellent potential as a young quarterback, and we knew what he was capable of and what that offense was capable of. And then I think what you're seeing him, he's so much more comfortable in that offense. He can run the tempo with understanding where his reads needs to go, whether it's a run-pass read or the ability for him to scramble and take what's given, and making great decisions with the football. And so, yeah, there's a reason why he's considered one of the top quarterbacks in all of college football.
When you look at South Florida, obviously there's been a lot out there about the investment they've made in their program. What looks different about this team on tape compared to the past couple of years when you've played?
They've always had speed. Look, they've got a lot of talent out there. They're doing a good job. Also defensively, they're taking the football away. Even though it's the same coordinators, they're playing at a really high level. And you're right, they have made the investment into their football program, and it's showing. They're really talented. And ultimately, when it's all said and done, so are we. And so it's going to be a great match. But ultimately, they're one of those teams that continues to improve year in and year out. And there's a reason why they have the record that they do and able to put up the points they are and do what they're doing defensively as well.
Coach, you spoke on growth. Kind of speak about the true freshman, A.J. Hill. What do you say to him after a tough loss?
Yeah, sure. First, kind of after I talked to the team, talked to him actually before we got on the buses and said, listen, and he was down on himself, and that's okay, right? And like I said, I want everybody to hurt. We all are. We all were. But I told him, you're going to learn from this. You're going to grow from this. Like, this is the game one of a long-term deal, right? And so understanding that there's growing pains that come with this. Now, take the film, take the lessons, and be better because of it, right? And learn from that. And I think there's nothing like an actual live bull that actually going out there and taking the snap in the game. No different than Arrington, right? Arrington's first collegiate snap, I believe, was at UTSA and got tackled for a 3-yard loss. And I said, listen, that stinks, because guess what? You're stuck with that 3-yard loss until you get that next opportunity. And no different with AJ. Hey, learn from this, find ways to improve, and you'll be better off because of it. And you need to hold his head up high. I want him walking around today. I want Arrington walking around today with their heads held high and finding ways to improve and understand that whether either of them are asked to play in this game this upcoming Saturday, that they're going to give it their best shot and play with great confidence.
Coach, two things. If you said, 1 minute there's patting you on the back, the next minute they could be slapping your face. Do you use that? You tell the players that okay, everybody was patting you on the back. Now you're getting, sticking one in the nose.
Yeah, I mean, every week, even after the Arkansas win, Jarvis, I shared with him, that Sunday morning, I said, look, everybody's telling you how great they are, and they all, big smiles on their face, said, yes, sir. And I said, but that means absolutely nothing. We haven't accomplished our goals. We haven't done anything that we set our sight in. And no different, right into the bye week. I said, be careful who you listen to. Because ultimately, we love our fans, and they're phenomenal. We're so grateful for them. But ultimately, all we can control is the opinions of the people within our own room and in the locker room. And if we earn the respect and we go out there and fight every single day to pour our heart and soul into this program, that's truly what matters. And we got to go out there and execute. And our guys understand that. And I said, we're going to get different things from different people. You got to read different things. I said, I shared with him, I get a text message from some people that say, please don't leave our program. Whatever it takes to keep you as our head coach for a long time. We want to keep you and your family in Memphis, and we love you. And literally the next text message is, can I help you pack your bags? And that's the nature of it. And so when someone's telling me how great I am, pat me on the back, doesn't mean anything, right? Unless it's the athletic director with a new contract, that doesn't mean anything, right? Or if it's, Jarvis comes and saying, here we go, we're going to take care of you. No different than, hey, you got to do a better job, and I know that. I mean, I'm not oblivious to this. I always say it's on me, and I got to get our program in the right mindset. But 6-1, and I'm glad we're frustrated because, we lost a conference game, and we've got to find ways to move forward. But the great news is there's a wonderful opportunity for us this Saturday, and that's where our focus is at.
One more thing. Saturday, 11 a.m. It's like 11 a.m. Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. It's on ESPN2. It's national television. Teams come in here and they get beat. Do you even mention that to them?
No, they understand how important it is. Always, one, it's going to be great to be back home. Our guys have a certain comfort level playing there in front of our great crowd. I know our crowd's going to show up. They're going to show out, and it is a national television game. And the opportunity to go out there and play at a high level versus a ranked opponent, that'll be motivation enough. But our guys understand, listen, it's all about the prep work leading up to this game. And then we'll look up when about 3:30 and see what the clock says and see what the scoreboard says, and hopefully we're on the right end of it.
To that 11 o'clock game in Memphis, it's on either ESPN, ABC, or whatever.
Yeah.
Other teams, especially teams that come in with a number by their name.
Well, let's hope that history continues to repeat itself here going through this weekend.
Right. Defensively, the defense has been playing so well leading up to UAB. After looking at the film, how did you break down what went wrong on some of those plays?
Yeah, Frank, great question. I think, first, a lot of missed tackles, and then also guys not being in the spots that probably were expected. And we'll always say, hey, maybe a call here or there to put our guys in better situations to make plays on the football. But sometimes it was, a guy was there and didn't go trigger and make the play, or a guy would tackle and miss a tackle, or guys' eyes were in the wrong spot, or the zone drops weren't where we need to exactly be. And credit to them, they made a lot of plays, but there was also some situations where we clearly weren't in the right area that we need to be for what the call had asked for. Do they play hard? Sure, but there's always room for improvement in that area as well.